30 years.
This needs an explanation. What have we got here?
We showed him the photos. We didn't tell him they were from Mars.
What are we looking at here?
You could be looking at the desert, but in my experience, I haven't seen anything that looks quite like that. Take a look at these crescent-shaped features. Do they not have a higher reflectance than the surrounding stuff? As if they're made out of material that's not the same as this?
This feature here,
The bright spot, clearly has a much higher reflectance than anything else in that image. You can really see it. Maybe it's an engineered structure. When I try to explain it with the principles that I'm used to, it does not look natural to me.
Mars or not, Ron Nix would know a natural formation when he saw it. He said this wasn't natural.
Well, let me ask you the question. Where did you get these prints?
we were given these prints by somebody who has significant insider connections. We're told that it's on Mars from NASA originals.
I mean,
we're not trying to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's fascinating, but doesn't look natural to me.
Okay. Thank you.
So if the structures might not be natural, that meant they had to be engineered. But by whom? To answer that, we needed to talk to NASA watchdog and critic, Richard C. Hoagland. Hoagland said he'd meet with us, but we had to meet on his turf, the one place on Earth that most closely resembled Mars. So, Richard, what would explain these structures on Mars?
Well, not only could there be extraordinary ancient ruins, but we could be launching human missions to Mars.
Coming up, a thriving civilization on the red planet? Bombshell revelations from a Mars expert.
What you see here, I believe, is a buried transportation system.
Then, a NASA astronaut reveals shocking information about a secret Mars program.
I have had a history of being threatened. NASA tells you that you've got to play ball or else.
We just lost the connection.
And later, an eyewitness confirms the extraordinary capabilities of the triangular spacecraft.
This craft can reach Mars in 33 hours.
Who claims NASA is covering up what it knows about life on Mars. He's uncovered what he believes to be photographic evidence of ancient ruins on Mars, anomalous structures, including a photo that appears to show a giant face on the surface of the planet.
I've been looking at photographs taken by NASA, by the Soviets, for almost 30 years.
If anyone could tell us what we're looking at, it would be him. So, Richard, what would explain these structures on Mars?
If you actually look at this, it looks like it's ruins being eroded out of these sand dunes. What you see here, I believe, is a buried transportation system.
Okay, you know this because you're in touch with people from inside NASA?
Of course. There are people leaking like crazy. There were people that were leaking in the beginning of the Apollo program, and we found little clues buried in that database, which now confirm what we have discovered. You cannot ignore the actual science. I mean, look here. This is a Mariner 9 picture.
Hoagland had brought some intriguing NASA photos of his own.
This is the infamous face on Mars. It was photographed by Viking in 1976. But what the officials say is that it's all tricks of light and shadow. Nothing there. But it's not a trick of light and shadow. And we know that now because we have data after data after data with multiple angles, multiple lighting. It's not a trick. There's no doubt in my mind it's a statue. But because most people are authority-driven, they take the voice of their experts over their own eyes.
So your watchword is take a look for yourself. That's
Absolutely.
what you want to tell me. Take a look
what
for
else
yourself.
do you have there?
These are the pyramids located just to the west of this face on Mars. You can see there's this incredible precise geometry. There's no doubt this was a huge, mile-wide, five-sided pyramid. These guys, who I think were our ancestors, built big.
Hoagland had an even more shocking story to tell. He said that back when he was a network television science consultant, he was inside a NASA control room when the first Mars space probe touched down.
When Viking landed in 1976, I'm standing there looking at a monitor with Carl Sagan. Carl is on my left, some NBC guys are on my right, and we're looking at this first color image come in, downlink, live from Mars, and it looks like Arizona.
I saw some of the pictures, and it's a clear resolution.
Well, Mr. President, right now, all we're seeing is a landscape with maybe blue sky in the distance.
Then, a few hours later, the head guys sent technicians around to tweak the red knobs on all the monitors in the entire lab. Certain individuals have the political power to keep all of us in the dark about our heritage. They started in 1976 by changing the color of Mars so it would never really look like what it is, which is apparently a lot like Arizona.
An error was made. The Martian sky, the scientists now say, is pinkish.
This is the first color picture of the Viking 2 landing site, proving that this area of Mars is red, just as the Viking 1 site was.
So this corresponds to the real Mars. Look at the sky. It's not pink, it's baby blue.
So NASA had gone to great lengths to hide the fact that Mars' atmosphere is similar to our own, able to support life.
If someone's painting the sky,
they all had to be in on it.
And that would point to an even bigger Mars cover-up.
Is it possible they've already been there but they haven't told us?
That's part of what we call the secret space program.
What's your personal view about that?
A, it exists. B, they know a hell of a lot more than we know through NASA. And C, there's cover-up after cover-up after cover-up, not only in the NASA area, but in every area.
Hoagland had shown us evidence of life on Mars and of NASA's attempts to suppress it.
He's been tracking this for how, 37 years?
He has watched the cover-up step by step with his own eyes. That's what's amazing.
He was there in the control center when the original images, but he was there and he saw the color of the sky, and then they changed them a couple of hours later.
That's amazing.
But did this cover-up extend to secretly sending men to Mars? We needed another look at some recent history.
What we did have back in the 60s were a manned mission to Mars being planned and then scrapped, right?
Yep.
We began where the public record leaves off, a 1967 NASA program to send men to Mars. Astronaut Brian O'Leary was selected to be on the first flight, but when the program was abruptly cancelled the following year, he hung up his spacesuit and quit. We found O'Leary had moved to South America. He seemed nervous about talking, but we managed to persuade him to speak with us via Skype.
Hi, Brian.
We wanted to find out if Mars was the reason he'd left his country behind.
It was in '67, was it, that you joined up with NASA for their Mars mission program?
Yes, I was specifically appointed to go to Mars, and the mission was to have taken place in the 1980s. But history got rewritten in 1968. The Johnson Space Center announced that these Mars missions would be canceled.
But your interest in Mars has continued.
Oh, absolutely. The fact is there may have been a civilization there once that was, basically was wiped out. NASA was covering up quite a bit. In the past, Mars was certainly more Earth-like. There was liquid water there. We see the erosional features, dried up riverbeds, lakes. We may be looking at our own future by looking at Mars.
Is there a reason why you're in Ecuador that might be linked to the cover-up?
Yes, there are a number of reasons. NASA tells you that you've got to play ball with their worldview, or else. They basically excommunicated me. And I have had a history of being threatened, and many of the people who did try to do me in are still around. Prudence suggests that we just move here.
Do you think that the secrecy extends to an alternative space program, that we have been to Mars but we're not being told about it?
Well, reports suggest the answer to that might be yes. There are all kinds of secret